This is the enemy, and he's here on his knees!
But ultimately, the terms of your execution are up to me.
Spoilers, by the way.
Courage. The strength to stand up in the face of terror and danger. It's a quality that the truly remarkable exhibit and use to protect others. If Link, the wielder of the Triforce of Courage, tells us anything, it's that courage is earned through sheer determination and a sense of duty. Courage is not merely given to the faint of heart. This quality is exactly the topic of today's discussion. On Dramatis Personae, I make it my goal to talk about the greatest characters video games have to offer. Ones that are heralded as legendary characters, ones that change the way we see how archetypes can be developed, ones that fans adore. Having covered 2 characters so far, we're really running out of possibilities, but alas, there still exists one that stands as the pinnacle of character development within his series. The Paragon of Colony 6, Juju. Often cited as a member of the Xenoblade Chronicles series' Holy Trinity, Juju's appearance in the series has left a mark on the hearts of almost every Xenoblade Chronicles fan. The sole mention of his name is usually accompanied by an emotionally charged rant on the subtleties of his character. As always, Dramatis Personae is about exploring multiple variables of these characters like design and personality, character arc, specific scenes, and gameplay to discover what makes them so memorable. Well, just like Juju, let's get snatched up by the wild ride that is his character. When it comes to design, Juju has been the subject of much controversy due to the common sentiment that he feels out of place and like an outsider within the universe of Xenoblade Chronicles. However, a deep inspection of Juju's design reveals a beautifully stirring, cohesive entity tucked away behind what might appear to be an outlandish arrangement of everyday wear. Juju is a short boy with long, brown hair and piercing green eyes. His clothes for the day that he picked out all by himself are composed of a gray pullover, a red vest, and green shorts accompanied by side straps for easy Juju portability. Examining Juju's getup from a color theory perspective reveals that the palette on display is incredibly brilliant as each color represents an aspect of Juju's character that unfolds over the narrative. The neutrality of gray symbolizes the malleable youth hidden beneath the passionate and angry exterior represented by the red of Juju's vest. The red could also represent ties to war, which he certainly has as one of the few survivors from Colony 6. We could even hypothesize that the vest was painted crimson by the blood of his comrades that fell beside him, a haunting reminder of the horrors that he endured on the battlefield. That bloodstained red vest is, therefore, the catalyst for his passion and fury. Just as the red vest and gray pullover clash, their respective traits are shown to be in constant conflict with one another as Juju fights authorities in a struggle to figure out what his role within Colony 6 truly is. This long line of ordeals is epitomized in the crux of Juju's design, the green of the pants representing growth. As his extensive amount of cutscenes will reveal, Juju's development is fixated on the significant transformation of a boy into a slightly smarter boy. One of the greatest developments found in the entire Xenoblade Chronicles series roster. And placing the unmuddled green spatially below the feuding colors perfectly encapsulates Juju as his growth and resolve shine clearly after he works through the tangled mess of neutrality and anger. Yet, Juju's inner conflict is also expressed through his physical attributes. The choice of the designers to give him unkempt hair and a mole slightly below his left eye are meant to further signify Juju's imperfections and make him a relatable character. A job well done if I do say so myself. Even beyond his character arc, these design choices do an excellent job of melding with Juju's personality and form. From a first glance, Juju has a simple outfit that supports a respectful, kind disposition befitting someone that places a lot of value on his friends and family. Yet deep down, Juju holds vast secrets, which we'll make sure to get to later. So, Juju overall has a thorough design that blends simple and complex elements that wonderfully mimic shades of his personality. But we're just getting started. When it comes to gameplay, I feel that Juju is slept on by the general fanbase. Whenever I get the chance to interact with him, I actually believe he surpasses the other characters the game has to offer with how smooth of an A-press it takes to talk with him. Wow, now that's some great gameplay. But enough with the boring stuff, I know what you're really here for. The pinnacle of narrative storytelling, the peak of Xenoblade Chronicles writing, the alpha and the omega, Juju's story arc. The first few hours of Xenoblade Chronicles do a fine job of introducing our main characters, the world, and a taste of the music, sure, but the narrative truly begins to ramp up with Shulk and Rein's first foray into the expansive Gaur Plains. The vibrant, lively plains are juxtaposed by the gray, smoking buggy that the pair stumble across. I've heard mumblings and theories that this blemish on the splendor of the plains could be a metaphor, but I couldn't even begin to understand what that could possibly refer to. While it's really good to know that the buggy is in very good condition.
Not brand new, but it's in very good condition.
The buggy's real importance is to act as a trigger, allowing Xenoblade Chronicles to take advantage of one of its staple story conventions by introducing Juju to the player via a flash forward. It's a really unique method of progressing the story and manages to offer details about Juju before we even meet or talk with him. For example, we can ascertain that Juju is really fast and potentially not good with animals, both traits that are key components of Juju's identity. But beyond even that, there's one tidbit that becomes painfully visible upon a second playthrough. The late game reveals that Shulk's visions at the beginning of the journey were very likely a result of Zanza steering Shulk towards his fated destiny. That destiny being his revival. Believe it or not, this means that Juju's safety was a crucial component to the resurrection of Zanza. Now, I know what you're thinking. Does this mean that Juju and Zanza were in cahoots and he was the secret disciple? It's possible given his lack of concern at Dixon's curious words in Satoru Marsh like Afaron did, but I think his role as the soul of the Drujanis would put him on a different path than the chaotic god. To quote Zanza himself,
"This world only needs one god maiden."
Regardless, the following cutscene officially reveals Juju, and he's entangled with some Arduns just as the vision foretold. What then follows might be one of the most immediately gripping, heartfelt introductory lines in the series. Where do I begin with this masterclass? The slight pause and the scream to illustrate the exhaustion from his endless running, the sheer terror portrayed with the crescendo in Juju's wail, it all blends into an initiatory moment in Juju's arc that would stick out in the minds of fans. The prominence of not 3, not even 5, but 4 H's in the subtitled ARG further demonstrates that fine line between neutrality and anger that Juju walks. And in an unbelievable extension from the scared, feeble depiction we are presented, the power of Juju is temporarily revealed as he musters the strength to continue running despite his expended energy. Although it takes the appearance of a cowardly decision, it's a building block to the eventual emergence of his courageous nature. Following the battle, the three meet back up at Juju's buggy, the formal introductions are made, and Juju invites Rein and Shulk back to his camp where the third permanent party member Sharla is introduced as Juju's sister. Their relationship is strained due to their different beliefs, with Juju wanting to check for survivors and Sharla's fiancé Gato, while Sharla suggests to care for those in the camp. Juju's position on the matter is exhibited beautifully, with his look of intrigue in the background fading quickly into dismay at Sharla's mention of Colony 6, before cutting to a close-up shot where he averts his gaze from the camera. He views Gato as a father figure, and it's made clear he values this relationship, since it's what births the fury of Juju.
So, you don't care what happens to the people in the colony? How can you be so heartless? Are you that scared of the Mechon?
Every time, pure shivers, man. This explosive anger is symbolic red of Juju's vest springing forth, as his assertion that the three of them are feckless fools is a major deviation from the Juju of old, and his jab at their fearful natures is a power play, one that reveals the burgeoning courage within him. After countless interactions with Juju, this single moment finally marks the turning point in Juju's character arc. There might have been some reservations held within, but those are surrendered as soon as Rein makes the error of calling Juju Kid. It's a usurpation of Juju's pride that convinces Juju he is a fool for trusting these Colony 9 strangers, and he flees the camp on a suicide run to assert his dominance and courage. And the saddest thing to consider is that perhaps if Rein went the Malos route, this could have all been prevented.
I thought you'd start bawling and charge at me. What a big boy.
Juju braves the wilds of Gar Plains, manages to break his buggy several hundred feet from the refugee camp, and becomes the victim of an adversary a second time. However, the raised stakes from feral Arduns to a vicious Mechon show further growth from the young lad as he comes into his own. And it's important to recognize that without Juju's burst of gusto, we wouldn't get one of the best cutscenes in Xenoblade Chronicles, Operation I Am Speed. Note how Juju never screams in fear once the battle has started either, which indicates to me that he has been mesmerized and inspired by the courage displayed by Shulk, Rein, and Sharla he once thought never existed. This deep-seated realization comes following the battle's conclusion with a simple, sincere apology. But punished Juju, the most tragic character I've ever seen, can't catch a break. The bronze-faced Mechon Zord appears just like Shulk's initial vision, snatches up our hero, and takes Juju to Colony 6. It's actually very poetic, given Juju's goal if you think about it. Juju remains a key component of the story via nightmares and discussions, but is absent physically until the confrontation against Zord in the Aether Mines, where the Mechon puts him in an Ocarina of Time rupee-esque prison? What is going on? That's besides the point, because his pose is of extreme significance. The Xenoblade Chronicles series is fraught with religious references, especially Christianity, and Juju obviously mimics the iconic imagery of Jesus upon the crucifix. I believe this creative decision was made to reference Juju's role as a god, the soul of the Jujanis, and potentially foreshadow an important relationship among the cast quite subtly. Personally, I think it goes even deeper with the number of captures painting the parallel between Juju and the figure of Christ even more. Here, so Juju's capture by Zord was the third and final one, and 3 is a number with a deep meaning in various uses throughout the Bible. The Holy Trinity is composed of 3 consubstantial beings, the 3 Magi's gifts, the 3 angels, and most importantly, Jesus' resurrection on the 3rd day. Currently, Juju lies in a dormant-like state, but eventually comes to, stronger and with a renewed sense of purpose following the defeat of Zord and the closing act of his 3rd capture. Similarly, Jesus was dead and buried, but rose on the 3rd day. Therefore, I think one could view Juju as the messiah of the Xenoblade Chronicles universe. From there, Juju is rescued, travels with the group for Satoral Marsh, and decides to head back to Colony 6 with Afaron. Despite the encouragement from Ryan, Juju's mind is made up, and his resolve shines with a radiance that surpasses even the sun rising at their backs. All of his inward and outward struggles have culminated into a Homs with a mind no longer clouded by the mess of anger and neutrality within him, but clear as day. His future appearance in the defense against the Telethia, as well as his effect on the party, make him what I'd consider the spiritual 8th party member. Although Juju's physical presence mostly fades from the narrative at this point, there's still one last variable that elevates Juju to new heights. You might have noticed a trend in the story analysis section concerning the continual mention of gods and an unseen parallel. Well, that's for a very good reason, because I believe Juju extends past the Jujanis into another Xenoblade Trinity. By the end of the game, it's made readily apparent that Shulk and Zanza are deeply connected, with Zanza's soul resting within him, Zanza's influence over Shulk's fate, and the potential symbolism with their shared physical attributes. They're both even voiced by Adam Howden to further illustrate their bond. But what if I told you that Juju was also an integral fraction of the whole? Let's start with Shulk, who primarily mirrors Juju's design. Yes, they both are Homs and members of closely related colonies, yet it's the finer details like the red vests and dark quilted sweaters underneath that prove to be fascinating. The red coloring matches up perfectly as both characters are driven to battle by anger, with Juju's being directed at Charlotte's decision and Shulk's with the death of Fiora. The difference is that Shulk's takes on a more prominent role in his design with a seemingly brighter color because his fury burns longer and brighter. This trait is only amplified by the color of the sweater that lies closer to their heart. Juju's is gray to symbolize the neutral and impressionable nature of a child that could be pulled either way. Shulk's is chiefly black to indicate that his anger corrupts him, and he has plunged into the dark abyss far past the line. Juju's placement within the story is to delicately remind Shulk that revenge can be taken too far, and can lead to one's own destruction, just like how Juju's blind rage got him captured. Without Juju, there is no Shulk. For further evidence, look no further than Shulk's dream when falling from Galahad Fortress. The scene depicts a young Shulk with a Monado-shaped piece of metal falling into a hole to symbolize both the fall from the fortress as well as Shulk's descent following the resurrection of Zanza. We get a second small dream later with another young Shulk speaking to him at the base of the podium of Ase Tower like it was Zanza.
You can't do that, because you aren't here. Not anymore.
Did you catch that? That voice is the same as Juju's, which means that Juju and Shulk are bound by the chains of fate. But what about Zanza then? Well, by the transitive Monado property in conjunction with my theorized connection from earlier, it's very likely that Juju's fate is tied to his. Yes, Zanza has said that the world only needed one god. But why didn't he kill Juju as soon as the opportunity presented itself, just like it did with Mainif? Just look at how slow and reluctant the Telethia are to attack a Retro Lancer wielding Juju in the defense scene. One even soars right past him to attack Dunban. The reason for this is because Zanza never meant to kill Juju, because that would lead to his own death. Shulk's journey to save Juju was stirred on by Zanza, not just to stay on the fated path before them, but to ensure his own survival. Therefore, Juju and Zanza are connected by fate. If Juju were to die, so would Zanza. Now, the reason why it doesn't work the other way around, where Zanza's death at the end of the game doesn't mean that Juju dies, is because in an interview I conducted with Tetsuya Takahashi, he responded this: "I figured that the death of Juju would be too sad. Also, that's just how it goes. Lol." Therefore, Shulk, Zanza, and Juju make up the real trinity of Xenoblade Chronicles. Takahashi, you've really outdone yourself on this one. Juju might not be the poster boy of Xenoblade Chronicles, but his character and legacy are undeniable. Starting as a timid boy that was bad with animals, Juju evolves into the Paragon of Colony 6, a boy that's still bad with animals, but the embodiment of courage. The way the color of his designs echo his character growth is phenomenally implemented, and gives Juju a level of depth not especially present among the other characters. Furthermore, the connection that exists between Shulk, Zanza, and him is mind-blowing, and something I don't believe most players would have expected from a seemingly minor character. It's certainly a thing, but we'll likely never get another character in the Xenoblade Chronicles series like Juju. But I truly think that I wouldn't have it any other way. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Hello there, everybody. Whew. Thank you for watching the video. If you're interested, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel, because this video took a lot out of me. The mental fortitude that went into this video was unparalleled, and will it stop me from making stupid bets? No. Last thing for now is something that I mentioned previously, but if you're interested in just kind of hanging out and talking more just outside of the confines of the video, then I do stream random games over on my Twitch channel. So far it's been a mixture of things like Pokemon, Sonic, Zelda, with potential things in the future like Mega Man, Metal Gear, and Xenoblade. So if you're interested in coming to hang out, we'd love to have you. That's gonna be it for this video, so thank you guys again for all the continued support. It really means so much to me, and until next time.